All right, I'm back. Really quick, we're going to talk about some good things about the military. Well, one, I got medically separated, so I'm at 100%, and I get paid for the rest of my life. I got the GI Bill, pays me to go to school. I currently go to school. Cool. Um, my friends, although the thing that sucks is, when you when you get out, everybody goes back home or they move somewhere else. So like you're all in different states now. You don't really talk anymore, So that kind of sucks because, like, I don't have any friends, but that's all right. I don't mind not having friends. Like, sometimes it'd be nice to have friends because I could be like, hey, I want to go to the mall, and then I don't have to walk around the mall by myself. But I don't mind walking around the mall by myself. Just sometimes it would be nice to have someone else to walk around the mall with, or, someone else to drive far with me to go eat food or something. But it is what it is. It's just, the nature of the Marine Corps. But I'm glad that I had those friends. While I was in, because that does make it a little better, a little more tolerable when you have some friends. Um, Especially friends that kind of enjoy doing the same thing as you. Like I went to the gym with a few of them. We went, well, almost every day. There were obviously times I didn't want to go, or they didn't want to go, or we were out of town, or whatever the case. But they go to want to go to Palm Springs and go shopping, or they want to go get food, or they want to go to Vegas, or they want to go to LA, or whatever. So at least you have people that you can go do those things with, especially if you didn't have a car during your whole enlistment, because I did not get a car my whole enlistment. So which is all right. But being in 29 pounds, you don't have a car, like, you better have some friends that have a car, or else you really not, doing much. Honestly, I didn't really learn things that I didn't know before. Really, it just made me realize that this is not it. This is not what I want to be doing for, 16 more years, or yeah, I was not going to keep going through that. But yeah, I think it just made me realize that that was not the route that I was supposed to go in life. I was not supposed to be in for 20 years. I was not supposed to do all of that. Um, it does make me a little sad, though, when I do see people kind of doing the things I would have hoped I could have done while I was in. Like my husband has this guy, he was in, I think they were in Japan together. And he's a chief warrant officer, but he very much cares about his Marines. He will fight those, the other ranks to help out his Marines. Obviously, where you can fight, because there are some things that you can't fight, especially if it's somebody of a much higher rank than you. But there are things that you can fight, that you do have the ability to change. And so there are people like that in the military, but they're few and far between, okay? So I guess just kind of seeing somebody do that, it makes me happy that there are people that do care about their Marines. I just wish that there were more of them that cared about their Marines and would do things for their Marines. But like I said, from my experience and the other people that were in my unit with me that cared about their Marines and would do stuff for their Marines, they were just getting shit on left and right. Like, it was, the people that were only for themselves were getting rewarded. It just, So briefly, I'm going to talk about my time in records and getting on the medication. So records, like I said, in the beginning wasn't that bad. But over time, that stuff starts compounding and building up and building up and building up until one day you can't anymore. And like I said, you try to talk to the higher ups more than once. And when all you're given is basically deal with it, so then you go to mental health so you can get some counseling and some therapy to help you deal with the fact that you have to just deal with it. But then you get like laughed at and like shunned. Something's wrong with you. You're broken because you need to talk to a therapist. Fuck. Like, you try telling that to the other Marines that went through Vietnam, the other Marines that went through Fallujah and all of that stuff. Like, tell them that. Laugh at them for going to see a fucking therapist. So it was getting to the point where, like I said, I was having mental breakdowns at work. I was at the point where I could no longer control my emotions when this other person was near me. Extreme narcissist. She was worse than a drill instructor when it came to communication. She screamed at us. She cussed at us. She belittled us. And to deal with that all day, every day on a consistent basis, it eventually is going to wear you down. And it just got to the point that I couldn't. I didn't know what else to do. So I spoke to a therapist quite a few times, and really nothing was helping, just therapy-wise. So I went to see I think it's the psychiatrist that can prescribe medication. And she was like, you might need to go on medication for the rest of your contract, until you get out. I only had probably about a little less than a year left. So I was like, well, like, what are my options? Medication, So they originally put me on Zoloft, but about 3 or so weeks, it just wasn't working for me. So we switched to Lexapro. And when I told her, like, oh, that's the one that my mom takes, she was like, oh, that's good, because obviously not in all cases, but she was like, in most cases, whatever the parent takes that works for them, it's gonna work for the kid. So got on Lexapro, just the lowest dose, okay? And that helped a lot. It especially helped me get through the counseling sessions, get through the rest of my time in the military. A lot of people look at medication as when you get on medication, it's to help level you out while you work on the things that cause you to be on the medication, that cause you to be not level, okay? You don't just get on the medication and then you're good for 6 months and you're like, I'm fixed, and then you get off it, but you didn't work through any of the crap that you went through that got you on the medication. You gotta work through that stuff, okay? So luckily I was still seeing the therapist, counselor, don't really know the difference. But I was seeing somebody to help me while I was still on the medication, because I didn't want to be on it for the rest of my life. And the psychiatrist had said, well, we won't really know if it's something I need to be on for the rest of my life until I get off the medication. Because sometimes people get off the medication and they can't control it. They can't function. They can't, live their life like that. So then they end up getting back on the medication. I did not want to be on medication for forever. So I stayed on it I didn't get off of it until I got out and moved to Texas. So about 4 months still after the military. Because April, I got out in like October. Yeah. So it wasn't until that following year that I decided to get off the medication. So I'm somebody who's like, I'm not against the medication, but at the same time, that was a short-term thing for me. I was not going to be on that for the rest of my life. Like that portion is what I'm kind of against. Like, I think you should try to do every single thing that you can do prior to the medication. But really try it. Don't try it for like 2 weeks and be like, this doesn't work for me. You got to try it for like months to really understand if that's something that works for you or doesn't. And I'm talking about natural things, not the medication. But that was just kind of the point that solidified I don't want to be in the Marine Corps anymore. I think at that point, I was already going through, the med board process. So I was kind of already at the point of not being able to be in the Marine Corps anymore. But that just definitely solidified that even if I had not had my surgeries, I would not have re-enlisted. I would not have continued to do that to myself. And I just... And, none of them cared. Nobody. I feel like the one person that did actually care, but she left because she was a civilian. She retired before, probably year and a half maybe before I left. We all loved her. I feel like she was like, excuse me, sir. I feel like she was that kind of level head for everybody in the office, because the lady that everybody hated thought that this other lady liked her and was her friend, when in reality that lady could not stand her either. But she kind of would help like level it out a little bit. But when she left, it was like there's nobody here to help take on all of this. And I wonder how he's doing. I know his name, and I know I think he has a Facebook, but I don't think he's active on it. But I wonder how he's doing now. I think he got out of the Marine Corps. I'm not really sure. But there was one of them that was in records with me for quite some time, dealing with the same crap. And it was getting to him too. Like I said, it was getting to all of us. Like, that's just how she was, like a soul sucker, sucked out everybody's soul. Even the people that came to records for a little bit and left because they just sucked at records, so send them back up there. That was another thing that drove me nuts. They kept sending people down to records that shouldn't be records people. Just no, so bad. So we had went through a few people. But he was there for, I would say, like at least a year down there with me. So he was like that person that you know when you have like a buddy to like complain to, or a buddy to like make fun of people with, or like a buddy to like kind of just help lighten the mood and take on like the shit with you. That's like how he was, or like our relationship was, you know, like but when he got sent back to work up in the wire, I was like, I'm by myself. Like I have to take on all of this mentally by myself. So yeah, I had to, like I said, I had to get help. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And what was it, 2017? Yeah, I had also lost my grandpa at the end of that year. Coming up in a few days on the, what would that be, 5-year anniversary of his death on December 4th. So there just was a lot going on. So that's why I just, I had made the decision to get on the medication. I'm not on it anymore. Like I said, I got off it we've been here for over 3 years. So I haven't been on medication for, 3.5 years. And I would say I do pretty good, because that constant stressor is no longer here, so that, was part of me no longer needing it. I do think that mine was more of a just, this is the situation that I'm in. What can I do to help myself until I can get the hell out of here? And that's exactly what I did. But yeah, I don't know. She would be retired by now. But when I left, I felt sorry, for the people that still had to be down there and deal with that. It is what it is, which is funny because I don't even understand what her role was, because she didn't do anything but yell and scream at us to get stuff done. Like, honestly, we could have done without her and we would have been just fine. So, I don't, that was just one of the situations. And then, there was a staff sergeant that I just couldn't fucking stand that man. Which is funny because he asked the other guy why I hated him. I'm like, dude, if you don't know, at least you know I don't like you, but you don't know why. You got some soul searching to do, But with this, I'm going to end it here. If any of you have ever been in a situation where you needed to be on medication, or you're currently on medication, or you're off medication, or whatever, drop a comment below. Was it a similar situation? Something happened in the family? Was it something you've been on since you were a child? Obviously, you don't have to share. I'm just curious. I like learning about people's lives. So, yeah, subscribe. Share this with a friend that you think might need to hear these things. It's okay to seek mental help. Man, woman, child, adult, whatever. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional and stressed. But get some help. You don't have to go through it by yourself. At least get some help to learn some coping mechanisms so you're not constantly in a state of stress. Okay? With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.